going to be on his show. And when I am on his show, I'll give you the 411 then. Jim's going to drop that information in the interview. It's part 2 of the interview. Let's kick back and visit with one of my favorite managers of all time, Jim Cornette. I'm talking to Jim Cornette here on the Steve Austin Show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Let's talk about Big Boss Man for a second. Big Bubba Rogers.
Yes.
When he made his debut on TV, what was that, NWA or WCW?
Well, NWA in those days. It was the WCW program, but it was still Crockett Promotion.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, good. That was the good shit, man. That was my favorite program of pro wrestling. And boy, all of a sudden, this big sumbitch comes out, and he had those glasses on, the suit, and didn't say a whole lot. He's like, man, this is a big motherfucker. Who got him in the business?
Well, it depends. Big Bubba Rogers was entered into the business by Dusty Rhodes, but Ray Traylor was broken into the business by Ted Allen. One of the Nightmares and the guy who, Ted Allen was a Georgia native. He just passed away a few years ago, but he trained some guys up in Rome, Georgia, Marty Lundy, Arn Anderson's hometown. But basically, Ted would bring job guys to the Atlanta TV tapings on occasion. And one day he brought this big kid, Ray Traylor, who was 6'6" and 360 pounds and had no tan and, didn't really have a great physique to him. And everybody's looking like, Jesus Christ, this guy is going to be a job guy. He's a giant. And I don't know whether it was Dusty's perverse sense of humor or whether they just drew straws and Dusty hadn't seen what the guy looked like, but he put Ray in a match with Tully Blanchard, and Tully on a good day, 5'10" and 205 pounds, right? Tully's finish was the slingshot suplex.
Yeah.
And so, Ray told him, I'll take it. And Tully kind of looked sideways, but okay, well, let's go for it. What the fuck? Ray Traylor at 6'6" and 360 pounds took the slingshot suplex from Tully Blanchard at 5'10" and 205. And Dusty saw that and said, I'm going to do something with that boy. And took him off TV. And the next day, he didn't have him on TV for 6 or 8 weeks. And he told me, he said, I'm getting you a bodyguard. And at the time, to be quite honest, I needed a bodyguard because we were having a lot of fan incidents and most of them were getting the better of me. And, when I was on the floor, the boys are in the ring. So I'm like, I'm happy. I'm like, I don't care who it is. Give me a bodyguard. I'm happy. And then he showed me this big son of a bitch. And talking to Ray just instantly, and it's funny to call him Ray because I've called him Bubba even after he was boss man. Yeah. Every time I saw him, I called him Bubba. But he was a nice guy. He was fun to be around. He had a great sense of humor. He was into the business without being markish. But basically, he had like 12, 13 matches. That's it. And Dusty said, we're going to call him Big Bubba Rogers. He's going to be your bodyguard from Louisville, Kentucky, that your mama has sent down because all these bad wrestlers is trying to get a hold of you, right? And so, dressed him up in a suit and the sunglasses and the hat. And I came up with the Peter Gunn music. I said, this is great. Let's play doon, 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 doon. And we could do that then because it was the Wild West. It was commercial music. What the fuck? And Dusty had him, the idea was that Bubba would sell nothing. He was impervious to pain. He was unstoppable, and he was building up himself a main event opponent while getting heat on me in the midnight at the same time because having this huge giant bodyguard with us. So it ended up Bubba, he basically put him on television. He had him sell nothing. Then there's the infamous time that Dusty hit him over the head. Remember when me and Baby Doll were going to clash at the Great American Bash, and Baby Doll was doing a workout to show what Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes had taught her. And no, actually I was doing the workout, and Baby Doll came in and belly to bellied my opponent, Randy Mulkey. And then Bubba's going to menace her, and Dusty comes in with a wooden folding chair, and point being, he hits Bubba over the head with the wooden folding chair. Now, he had told Klondike Bill beforehand, gimmick the chair so the chair will break, right? Okay. So when Dusty comes in, he hits Bubba over the head with this folding chair. The chair exploded. It horse-collared around Bubba's neck. Didn't even knock his hat or glasses off. And Dusty backs up for the first time ever. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, is backing up from somebody. Yeah. And Bubba just calmly took the chair off from over his head, took his hat off, took his glasses off, starts taking his jacket off. Here comes Magnum with a baseball bat. And the two of them together, I'm dragging Bubba out. He don't want to go, right? And what an impact that made. And we get back, and I told Klondike Bill, I said, Bill, what a job you did with that fucking chair. He said, oh, shit, I forgot. He didn't gimmick the chair. Dusty hit him so hard it just broke. And another time, Bubba took this so seriously. He was never to smile. He was never to speak. I used to try to crack him up on interviews, and he'd be biting his fucking lip, right? Blood would come down. But we go to the Omni in Atlanta in a fucking cab. And because that, you know, the big stars, I mean, there's 400, 500 fans waiting out back of the Omni to see all these big wrestling stars come in. Here we come in a yellow cab, but they accepted it back then because, you know, we were all paying our own road expenses.
Yeah.
And we get out of the cab, and while we're getting our bags, the cab driver, Bubba, leaned up against the cab to pick his bag up, and the cab driver slammed the door, and it latched on Bubba's fingers.
What happened?
And Bubba goes, hey, brother, the door, hey, brother, the door. And the guy said, oh, my God, and he grabs it, and he opens it, and Bubba pulls his hand out, sticks in his pocket, picks his bag up, starts walking back in the back door. And I'm behind him. I'm going, are you okay? And as soon as we got through the back door and the door closed, he fucking bent over, started screaming. He started crying, oh, motherfucker. Bubba had a high-pitched voice. Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, are you all right? He said, yeah, I think I'm okay. I said, fuck, why didn't you sell that? He said, I couldn't sell. The fans were watching. That's the kind of dedication he had. And it just, you know, finally, the reason why he left and went and got his break as Big Boss Man, but the reason why he gave his notice was Starrcade 87. It was the Midnight in Rock and Roll in a scaffold match in Chicago, and they had Bubba go up there. They didn't have him take the bump off, but they had Bubba go up there and fucking do a little spot with Ricky Morton where Ricky ended up nut-shotting him and running away or whatever. And we all got our checks. We all got 10 grand apiece, and Bubba got 5. And Bubba said, you know what? I fucking climbed that fucking thing too, and I could have fallen off just like everybody else, and they shorted me. And right about that time, Hogan was looking for big monster opponents, and somebody had made the call, and he told me, he said, I got to go. I said, yeah, you got to go, because you're going to work with fucking Hulk Hogan in the WWF, so you got to go. You got to go now. And he gave his notice, and he went up there and became the Big Boss Man and made a ton of fucking money.
Man, that was a great gimmick, too. And I finally ended up getting to go to WWF. I turned into Stone Cold. And my 2 Ray Traylor stories were, one time, you know, back in the day, you know, we'd go to, we'd spend a week in England, and then we'd go right to Germany, or Germany first, and then right to England. And you know, the boys, we're back here. You know, it's a tour bus. It's a bus for the heels, a bus for the baby faces. Of course, man, we're living it up on the back of the bus. Everything's going around. We're drinking like fish. We're having a good time. We're working our ass off every single night. We're sold out. And I got a couple of shots. I'm working with Ray. And, of course, you know, just like you said, everybody loved Big Boss Man, Ray Traylor, whatever you want to call him. And we were out there, we were working some town, whether it was England or Germany, I can't remember. And, you know, Ray had a quick left hand. And, man, he hit me about 6 or 7 times with that motherfucker. And I was always very patient about potatoes in the ring because I work snug myself. And after he hit me that final one, you know, because he was kind of haggard from all the party, and I was kind of haggard. And Earl Hebner, my buddy, was the referee of that match. And he kind of looks at me. He's got that little smirk on his face. He knows it's about time to send one back. And so, you know, after about that last one, I looked up at Earl, he looked at me, and I looked over at Ray, and I grabbed him by his arm. I threw him in the ropes. I said, watch your clothesline. So here comes big old Ray, you're about 6'6", running vertical, because he knows I'm going to hit him right there, you know, a little bit below his Adam's apple so he can take that bump for me. But I called an audible. I hit that motherfucker flush vertical in the forehead with my forearm as hard as I could. And Big Ray went down like a shot. He went down to his knees, and on his knees, he's almost as tall as I am. And he looked up at me, and it was just like the cartoon you were talking about a while ago. You can see the little stars going around his head, and he had that little smile on his face, and he goes, okay.
Point taken.
He knew, you know, he finally got his receipt, and he didn't touch me for the rest of the tour. But I absolutely love that guy. And we were going to work an angle one time. We were working a pay-per-view. We're in St. Louis at the Kill Center, Kill Arena, whatever the fuck it's called. I can't remember who I was working with. But during the finish, Ray was supposed to run down and hit me in the head with a chair shot and cause me to lose the match. Well, we get to that point in the match. Ray Traylor don't show up. This is a pay-per-view. Ray Traylor don't show up to hit me with the chair. So they call an audible a gorilla. And that was back when Jerry Briscoe used to work back there in a gorilla. So they sent Jerry down to hit me with a chair shot to just so somebody could hit Stone Cold with a chair and end the fucking match. And so, of course, Briscoe, that's a badass wrestler. Everybody knows the Briscoes are bad, but they're not used to working with chairs. So it hits me with kind of a lame chair shot. And I go down for the count, 1, 2, 3, because that was, what was supposed to do. And so, man, I'm laying there in the goddamn, middle of the ring. It was a kind of shitty chair shot. And I absolutely love Jerry Briscoe. But the chair shot wasn't so great. I'm laying there, 1, 2, 3. Blah, 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 big sell. The crowd's mad. I got fucked. So finally it's time for me to get up and make my way to the back of the arena and, go take a shower. And all of a sudden, there's Ray. He missed his fucking cue. He was in the dressing room talking to the Undertaker. Ray, just always talking, shooting the shit. And I love Ray Traylor to death, God rest his soul, but I cussed that motherfucker up and down and just lit into his ass. But he was a sweetheart of a guy, but was he for shoot a real prison guard back in the day?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's how they got the gimmick. They didn't have to, once again, all great gimmicks are an extension of the personality. Before he trained, and while he just had gotten in the business, before he quit to be a full-time wrestler, he was a prison guard at the Cobb County Correctional Institute. And that's how he, as a matter of fact, he used to, when he would stop the fans from getting to me, he would say, well, it's our prison guard training because we contain people so they're not a danger to themselves or others. And I said, well, you contain all these motherfuckers you want to and trying to kill me, and that's fine with me. But yeah, he worked, and as a matter of fact, when he worked for me in Smoky Mountain, he did a few shots as the boss man coming in to be a special, ringside enforcer referee. I actually went down to his house and we went over to Cobb County because he still had friends there and shot his promos in the prison. But he was completely legitimate. There wasn't any bullshit about that at all.
But he was just a big corn-fed, raw-boned son of a bitch. Did he have a sporting background? Because he was so quick and agile and strong.
I think he might have played a little high school football down there, but no outstanding sporting background to speak of. But he was light on his feet. He was just a natural.
He's one of those guys. When you get him next to him, that's a big human being.
The first angle he did with Dusty was at the 86 Bash in Charlotte. We were at Memorial Stadium, and it was the cage match. And after the cage match was over with, somewhere or another, Dusty was going to come through the door, but we were going to trap Magnum and Baby Doll inside the cage, and Bubba was going to get a hold of him. And Bubba had Dusty on his knees at ringside, and this was for TV. And if you can hear this is what it sounded like, because Bubba literally had only had 12, 13 matches at this point. Every time he punched Dusty on the head, it sounded like that. They looked like shit, and they hurt. And you could see a bump coming up, and Dusty would go, oh! And we almost felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.